Hey everyone, welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer today. We are going to be diving headfirst into the 42 Piscine C, specifically the C01 module. Now, if you've been working with basic variables and you're kind of wondering how to really take control of your programs, well, you are in the exact right place. Today is all about demystifying pointers and memory manipulation. I know it sounds intense, but as your guide, we're going to break down these concepts step by step so you can confidently write your own C code. Let's get started and see what we're going to build today.
So, here's our game plan. First, the core of C pointers. Second, swapping and memory math. Third, strings and null terminators. Fourth, reversing integer arrays. And finally, sorting algorithms explained.
All right, Section 1, the core of C pointers and direct memory access. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so pointers. This simplifies a concept that notoriously scares a lot of beginners, but honestly, it really doesn't need to. Think of a standard variable as a physical box containing an item, like a number. A pointer? It's simply a piece of paper with the physical address of where that box is located in a massive warehouse. When you want to actually open the box and change what's inside, you use an asterisk. That whole process is called dereferencing. It literally allows us to reach into that specific address and mutate the exact block of memory. Pretty cool, right?
And this brings us to our very first challenge. In exercise 00, ft_ft, your task is to create a function that takes a pointer to an integer and sets its value to 42. Normally, if you pass a standard variable into a function, C just makes a temporary copy of it. Any changes you make are completely lost when the function ends. But by passing a pointer, you are handing over the actual address. So here's a huge tip for this exercise to help you out. Simply use the dereference operator. By writing *NBR equals 42, you are reaching outside the local scope of the function and updating the original variable directly.
Let's move to our next challenge and see how this builds. We just looked at a single pointer, but what happens when you have a pointer that points to another pointer, which then points to another pointer? Yeah, this is called multi-level indirection. To get all the way down to the actual integer value at the very bottom, you must prepend the exact number of asterisks corresponding to the depth of those pointers.
Which brings us to exercise 01, ft_ft. Here, you are dealing with up to 9 levels of indirection. Now, don't let this syntax intimidate you. I know it looks a bit wild, but logically it's the exact same concept as the previous exercise. You are simply following that address trail 9 times. Just count your asterisks carefully. 9 asterisks, followed by NBR equals 42, will drill directly down to that baseline primitive cell and assign the value. Take it step by step. You've absolutely got this.
Moving on to Section 2, Swapping and Memory Math, focusing on safe value transfers. Now that we actually know how to target specific memory blocks, let's look at exercise 02, ft_swap. You're asked to write a function that trades the content of 2 integers using their memory addresses. So you have pointer A and pointer B, and you need them to swap values. Sounds super simple, right? But there is a major trap here that catches so many students off guard.
Listen, this is absolutely crucial. If you just take the value of B and shove it into A by typing *A equals *B directly, well, congratulations, you've just overwritten A. The original data in A is totally gone forever, and now you have nothing left to give back to B. So my professor's tip for you here is to always declare an internal temporary integer variable first. Call it int TMP. Park the value of A into TMP for safekeeping, then move B into A, and finally, move the saved TMP value into B. Always protect your data.
Now, let me ask you a question to ponder. In standard C, a return statement can only output a single element from a function. But what if a mathematical operation gives us 2 distinct answers that we really need to keep? How do we output multiple results simultaneously?
The answer? Pointers, of course. Exercise 03, ft_divmod, asks you to divide integer a by integer b and output both the quotient and the remainder. Since we can't just return 2 things, we completely bypass that constraint by using reference variables. You'll use the standard division operator, the /, to compute the quotient and assign it directly to the pointer *div. Then you'll use the modulo operator, the %sign, to grab the remainder and assign it to *mod.
Then we have exercise 04, ft_div_mod, which adds a really brilliant new twist to this. Instead of having separate pointers for the answers, you are actually overwriting the original input pointers *A and *B directly with your answers.
This is what we call in-place evaluation. But wait, think back to our swapping lesson. If you overwrite asterisk A with the quotient right away, you've destroyed the original number you need to calculate the remainder for asterisk B.
So here's your step-by-step game plan to solve this without corrupting your data mid-execution. Step 1, compute the division and save it into a local, temporary integer variable. Step 2, compute the modulo remainder and save it into a second temporary variable. Step 3, only after both calculations are safely completed should you actually copy those resolved metrics back to the original pointers asterisk A and asterisk B. Compute first, mutate second. That is the golden rule here.
All right, Section 3, strings and null terminators, specifically looking at character arrays.
We are officially graduating from basic integers and stepping into the world of character arrays. You see, in C, a string isn't some magical single entity. It is just a sequential array of characters sitting in memory. But because memory is continuous, C needs a way to know exactly where your specific word ends and where random garbage memory begins. Enter the null terminator, represented by a \0. Think of this as a special boundary sentinel. Without it, your program will literally just keep reading memory blindly until it crashes.
And that concept is the key to passing exercises 05 and 06. In FT puts_tree, you need to display a string to the screen using the right function. In FT stringlen, you need to count the length of a string manually without using any external library headers. Both of these rely entirely on finding that null terminator.
Let me break down the algorithmic logic you need to write out your while loops. First, initialize a tracking index at 0. Next, set up your while loop to traverse the string step by step. The condition for your loop is vital. It must continue executing only while the current character does not equal the null terminator. Inside the loop, you either render the byte to the screen for exercise 5, or you increment your counter for exercise 6. Once you hit that null terminator, the loop stops, and boom, you're done.
Section 4, reversing integer arrays using symmetric swapping.
Okay, let's scale things up a bit. We're going to combine our new array traversal skills with our earlier memory swapping skills. Take a look at exercise 07, ft_rev_int_tab. Your goal is to reverse the order of elements within an integer array entirely in place. So the first element becomes the last, the second becomes the second to last, and so on. You are given the array pointer and the total size of the array.
To solve this, you absolutely need a symmetric swap strategy. Here is your roadmap. First, set up a start tracker at index 0. Second, set up an end tracker at size -1. Why -1? Well, because arrays are 0 indexed, meaning an array of size 5 actually goes from index 0 to 4. Step 3, run a loop as long as your start index is less than your end index. Inside that loop, use the temporary variable swapping trick we learned in exercise 2 to swap the two elements. Finally, increment your start tracker forward and decrement your end tracker backward so they move towards the middle.
And finally, Section 5, sorting algorithms explained, specifically in ascending order.
This brings us to the final and definitely the most advanced topic of the C01 module, bringing us into the realm of classical computer science. For exercise 08, ft_sort_int_tab, you are tasked with sorting an array of integers in ascending order, from smallest to largest. Now, you can't use any external utilities. You have to build the logic entirely from scratch. You'll be implementing a manual sorting sequence, typically something like a bubble sort or a selection sort. Let's break down a basic implementation strategy for this one. You're going to need a nested loop structure, literally a loop inside a loop. This allows you to iterate through the array and compare adjacent items or index variations. The core logic boils down to a simple question. Is the number at the earlier position larger than the number next to it? If tab I is greater than tab j, they're out of order. So you swap them using our trusty temporary variable method. By doing this continuously, the heavier, larger numbers will essentially bubble backward to the end of the array while the smaller entries shift forward. You just repeat this until the entire data set stabilizes into ascending order.
And just like that, we have cracked the C01 module. You have successfully walked through single and multi-level pointers, performed in-place memory math, traversed strings using null terminators, and built your very own reversing and sorting algorithms. You've truly mastered memory at its core. These right here are the foundational building blocks of all C programming. My final question to you is, with these incredibly powerful tools now firmly in your grasp, what complex programs are you going to build next? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Get out there, write some awesome code, and I will see you in the next module.